guys. Welcome to another week of Evolve. I am your host, Monette Brann-Natta. I'm so happy to have you back with me this week, sharing some energy and talking about the subject for the month, which is mothers. All month in May, we'll be talking to a panel of expert mothers who would say, Monette, are we expert mothers? Yes, I say they are expert mothers. And we're going to be talking to them about their insights and their lessons that they've learned over the years of parenting and raising children. I'm really proud to have a diverse group, and this week I'm excited for you to get to know my guest. My guest today is a woman who knows what it means and what she wants, and she's never afraid to speak up for herself or what is right. She's imparted that same sense of right and wrong into her children, one of whom is still in high school, and her son is in college. This Puerto Rican, Brooklyn-raised mother is creative and funny, and she's quick-witted. She prides herself on providing her children with the skill sets that they need to make it through this life. But she's more than just a mother. Aren't we all, as women, more than just this one thing? We met many years ago at a job that we were working, and even then she was a dynamic ball of energy. The thing that always stood out to me is that she is multifaceted, and at any given moment you may find this Gemini native really stretching herself via a myriad of creative endeavors. But the thing that's always captured my attention was Miss Cynthia Hall. Cindy, we're going to call her Cindy on the show today.
Cindy's fine.
Cindy is her deep and abiding love for her husband and her family unit. I've learned so much about what it is to be in a healthy, functioning relationship from this woman by osmosis. She's not preachy, and she's not just sharing words of wisdom today. She's letting us in on her life experience. She leans in to the idea of family and marriage in a time where these tenets aren't as exalted as they once were. Cindy never apologizes for her old school stance. If anything, she makes you want a slice of her all-American life. So grab a cup of coffee, ladies and gentlemen, or if you're listening at night, a glass of wine, because Cindy would approve, because I am so excited for you all to get to spend some time with Miss Cindy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I am very humbled to be here, believe me.
I'm excited to have you here because I think you have so much to offer. And again, I mean everything that I've said. I have watched you throughout the years model what it means to be a real woman and a wife. And none of that means it's perfect, but what it means is it's real and honest. And that's what you've done.
Yes.
So, and you're never embarrassed about that. You are so very authentic. And I think that everybody has something to learn. So, like I said, all month we've been talking about wonderful mothers and talking to them and trying to get their perspective on rearing of children. And in your case, I wanted to ask you about the differences because you have a son and a daughter. Did you notice any differences as you were raising? And can you tell us a little bit about your son and daughter?
Yes. I'm going to be honest with you also. With any child, you could have two daughters, two sons. There will be differences.
Okay.
Because each little child is their own person, you know, and even if it's two sons, they're going to be different from one another. If it's two girls, they're going to be different. Of course, that gets stretched when it's a son and a daughter. So there are definite differences. However, starting out into it, you know, I didn't just have a son and a daughter. I had my son, and 5 years later, I had my daughter. And I had, 5 years into it, a set of skills to raise my son. But then you have another child, and you're thinking you're going to use all those same skills, and you realize very quickly that you have to modify. And that is something that I have to do quickly on and learn to do quickly on, was modify whatever it is that I needed to teach them according to them and how they were going to be able to receive the lessons.
I think that's so important, modify. So that's number one lesson for those of us listening today. Modify your teaching techniques because each child, whether they are same-gendered or not, are going to need a different application, and you'll be tweaking things. So that's an incredibly powerful statement because there are many ways that I think that we can sometimes get off track and forget that one size doesn't fit all.
Mm-mm. And usually doesn't.
Yeah.
Usually doesn't. I mean, with my son, my main goal for the both of them is that when they're, away from the house and they're their own people, that they are people that are contributing to the world, to society, that they're giving to, not taking away from. Do you know what I mean? They're making it better, not
Absolutely.
making it worse.
Yes.
They're a positive, not a negative. So
Right.
in order to do that, you have to tweak and change. For instance, with confidence, I have this feeling we have a boy and we have a girl, and they're both born, and this world will teach the boy everything about confidence, but almost to the point of arrogance, because the world is, yes, you can do it. Yes, do it. It doesn't matter. You're not going to get caught. Go, go, go. Do. You got this.
Mm-hmm.
Pat on the back for absolutely everything.
Right.
And then you have this little girl starting off with the same confidence, and in her life path, the world will somehow want to stamp it out or undermine it or tell her no when it's really yes. And for me, it's my job to raise my son so that in his confidence doesn't get too cocky and too arrogant, where he pauses and learns sensitivity, where he takes a look around himself before he makes decisions for himself. And for my daughter, it's undermining what the rest of the world is doing to stamp it out of her. It's to make sure that the confidence stays in her so that, when she comes to a point where she might want to do something and the world is telling her no, I don't want her to really pause in that no. I want her, because if she pauses in the no, she's going to listen to the no and all the little things and all the little voices that the no is going to tell her. And in that moment, she's going to lose herself. And then I'm going to lose her. And I'm not going for that. But by the same token, it's the same thing for my son. Now his pause is more it's like the same point. It's like the yin and yang, but coming at it from two completely different places.
Right.
Because I need him to pause to make sure that the messages he's receiving is good for him. Is this something that you should be doing? Is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And learning sensitivity and learning, seeing things from other people's perspective to enhance you. And quite honestly, it's for both of them. But how they see those things, the messages that are being given to them are two completely different set of messages. So they have to come from two completely different mindsets in order to understand those messages and decipher them for themselves.
Absolutely. And again, another powerful statement there, because there are many ways that we can, and especially in regards to your daughter, I love that you are really paying attention to the nuances of each. But as a woman, I relate to what you're saying there, because there are so many ways that we can lose ourselves as women. And I love that you're a parent that values that independence. And to me, you have to be so careful in curating that in a young girl, that she knows she's heard and seen and respected, and that her opinion of herself matters and what she wants for her life matters. So over the years, do you think that you've developed a formula for raising children? Now, I'm going to ask that of every mother, and they all are laughing at me, so you might laugh too. But
I am. I see someone a scientist doing his experiments and his Petri dishes and his Bunsen burners, trying to figure out this formula to be the perfect parent, and that will be the scientist that will fail every single time. It is impossible there isn't a cookie cutter formula, mostly because there aren't cookie cutter children, because there aren't cookie cutter people, and therefore there aren't cookie cutter parents. So there is no one formula. The only thing that I would say that, and for lack of a better term, I'll call it a formula, but really it's more of a life path, a way of life, a way of being, is to follow your heart. And that seems cliche, it seems small, it seems like it should be on an inspirational quote poster, with a cat hanging from, a ladder or something. But really, honestly, You have to follow your heart in everything that you do, and one of the most important ways that you need to do that with is in raising your children.
Right.
You have to be true to yourself, and in everything that you do and say and how you raise them has to come back to your truth, because if at any point you falter from your truth, you're really not going to know how to take the next steps. You know, you're not going to know everything from the moment that you start faltering from your own truth. That foundation with which you have to raise them and with which you have to stand upon for your own life will start to get shaky, and it will start to crumble. And then you're going to find yourself down the road not knowing what the heck you've done, making a ton of mistakes. You know, everything's going wrong, and you're not going to know how to pull yourself back. So my most important thing, I guess, for the formula is to just be true to yourself and follow your intuition, follow your gut, stay true to your core values, and that will lead you. That will be almost like your magic wand, so to speak. The other thing that I would do that I think I need to say, because it's very, very, very important to me, is that women tend to batter themselves. They pin one against the other. For instance, the support, the working moms versus the stay-at-home moms.
Right.
And that just bothers me to my core, because every woman has to do what is right for her and her family. And if that means going to work, then that means going to work. That's your truth. If that means staying at home, then that means staying at home, because that's your truth. But we have to come together as a sisterhood in that and support each of our choices, not bashing the other one and having, this red and blue group of women where we're right and you're wrong. That's just society pinning ourselves against each other. And that's so counterproductive to anything and everything. Like, we shouldn't even be having a conversation about stay-at-home moms and working moms. We're moms.
You are
moms.
mom.
Be supporting one another.
Right.
That's it.
And I agree with you. I see it as a way to weaken the species. When we're doing that, I see it as a way to be divisive, because when you are making that comparison and, as you said, pinning one against the other, or saying one is better or more exalted, that it puts you in a place of feeling diminished when we are all doing the most important job in the world, which is raising these humans to go out into the world. Exactly.
And if you do anything from a place of being diminished, or, the next thing that happens is you get defensive. But whenever you do anything coming from a place of defense, you're not really doing anything. You're just talking. You're just defending your way simply because somebody put you down. And that doesn't help. It's a complete and utter waste of time. I believe more in support. I try to do that in everything that I do. I don't undermine, and when somebody asks me for advice, I always start off by saying, well, this is what has worked for me. And then I tell them how and why it worked for me. But then I always end it with, now take that and listen to it, but also listen to yourself and find how this situation, how you can fix the situation to work for you, which comes back to being true to yourself, true to your values, and true to your core.
And that is a great segue to my next question. I've been thinking a lot about the term tiger mother. There's been a lot of chatter about tiger or helicopter mother. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on tiger mom and helicopter mom. Okay. I suppose, just blanket, I will say I'm definitely a mama bear. I mean, I will protect my children to my own demise, and I'm not just whistling Dixie on that one.
Right.
That is something that is inherent. It's something I felt from the moment I first laid eyes on my son, and that will never go away. However, I mean that, if someone is hurting them physically, if someone is saying something to undermine my parenting, I'm going to protect them from that. I will be, I will, how do you say, I'll have the shield and I'll be swinging the sword and I'll be walking over you, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. However, be that as it may, I do not like labels. I don't like labels. I think when you put a label on something, people automatically define that label. And it's based on their preconceived